Welcome to our show, All the Good Ones.
Are Taken, aka AtGoat.
I'm Alex.
I'm MK.
And this is our podcast.
Welcome back, Alex.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I feel like I've been gone for 5 years, but it's been 2 weeks.
It was 2 weeks. Weren't you working too?
Yeah, I was working.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was really nice. I got some fresh air. Of course, I always love seeing my dad. I did not eat a vegetable one time during that 2 weeks, so my body is suffering, but it was good.
Sounds unhealthy.
It is unhealthy.
Physically, but mentally, fantastic.
Yes. So, thriving.
You just got back last night, right?
No, I got back Saturday night.
What day is today? Monday? Okay.
Yeah. It's been good. I worked out earlier, and then I got an ice cream. So, also.
Fantastic.
How was your week?
It was good. I missed you. It was weird not seeing you for 2 weeks.
Oh, it was wait, I feel like I should be with my friends, but I'm in the mountains.
But overall, good. Just chilling. Finished my semester out somewhat strong.
Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
I got an A in one of my classes, and
Woo!
I think I'll get a B in my other class.
I'm sure you will, if not an A.
Which I'm sad because I had a 4.0.
Yeah.
So this will be my not 4.0 class, but it's okay.
But you don't know yet.
I kind of know. Because
Okay,
I wrote 7 pages out of 10 for a term paper.
Okay. Better in than not at all, I guess.
That's what I said. I said quality over
not
quantity.
quantity. No, wait, opposite. No, wait, that is right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You did not get the quantity.
Not the quantity.
Not the quantity at all.
But I do think it was a pretty well-written paper, if I do say so myself.
Okay, well, good. I mean, maybe they won't deduct that many points.
We'll see.
Okay. Best of luck.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
This week's book is Iron Flame Part 2 by Rebecca Yarros.
Woo!
All right, everybody. If you have not read and or listened to our previous episode, which is part 1, you definitely need to go back and do that. There will be
spoilers ahoy.
Yes, spoilers galore. We're going to be marinating up in here with the spoilers, so be prepared.
The conspiracy theories.
Yes, this episode will have a very special feature section where we talk about our theories, some of which we've heard on social media and some of which are our own.
I'd say most of them are on social media, but there's also a lot of, I don't know, I think throughout this episode, I might just be
and this is what I think.
Side eye. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have the brain capacity to even be thinking out here okay, well, what if this happens? And what if this comes up? I am a diehard TikTok fan page follower, so therefore I get all my theories off of there.
Fantastic. So we left off with Xaden rescuing Violet from Varish,
the torture,
from the torture, and Dane not dying.
Okay, onward. They're going to
Royerson House.
Yeah.
So for me, the second half of this book really feels like an entirely different book. It was a completely different vibe than the first part. The first part felt very similar to Fourth Wing. And then part 2 was just separate book completely. But now, so as we'll learn, they'll be outside of the college. It feels a lot more dangerous. There's a lot more on the line. And Rebecca Yarros at any can just do anything at this point. That's how I felt when I first
and she does.
That's true.
And she does. I personally think that this is where we kind of get more of the vibe that things were perhaps rushed from Yarros a bit. And this is no shade to her at all, because imagine writing the blockbuster hit that Fourth Wing was, and then being on the line with your publishers and basically the entire world waiting for the second book in your series. So I don't blame her. I do wish she had taken some more time.
I personally thought that these could have been 2 separate books.
I agree. I would have been pissed about it.
Of course.
While I was reading, I would have been pissed. But I would almost prefer that she had split it up and taken her time with each one than get what we got.
Yeah.
Not that it was terrible. I love this book and I love this series, and I stand on this, but it was a bit messy.
Yes, but for me, like the second part, like my anxiety was just like through the roof. Like pretty much during halfway through the second part, I was like, I am not even surprised anymore at anything that happens. Like
it was just too boom, boom, boom
it was.
Of events. Like, because the thing is, like, no doubt were we expecting that like shitty things were going to happen in this book, right, to these characters. Like we knew it was coming, but the way and like the gravity of those situations were lost by how things were rushed. Like it was like,
it felt like she was checking boxes almost.
It was too much. Like, I don't know, pick and choose and do it really well, or like have the events take place but not like, don't put them so close together. Something different.
Yeah, it was a lot, and it was a lot to cram into a 600-page book. Overall, it was good, and I think it was still well written. It was just rushed.
Yeah. I don't doubt her ability to write a good story, or like her ability in writing. It's just the events to me were rushed.
I mean, she wrote it in like 7 months.
Yeah, which is crazy.
That is not enough time.
That is not enough time. Not enough time to do the story justice. Like,
and she's writing other things during this time too, you know? Like, I
can't imagine. Like,
I cannot imagine. So I first got my book idea that I've been working on a year ago, like this month. Mm-hmm. And I'm still like halfway through my first draft.
I'm on chapter 1 of my aspiring novel. We need to start writing again, but that's another thing. Yeah, so I mean, read for yourselves. Let us know what you think. These are just our opinions.
I also think it's pretty, like, most people agree.
Yeah, like I don't think we're saying anything like outlandish here that people would be like, well, I think this, and like, well, okay, like it's fine.
Yeah, this is like a 4-star book compared to Fourth Wing, but
yeah,
it's still a 5-star book because of how good it was.
Yeah.
Like the world building and stuff.
5 stars for how much I believe in the story.
Right, yeah.
Like, and this is where things get very precarious, Rebecca Yarros, because how much faith I have in you. Okay. We already talked about what would happen if you did not keep Violet and Xaden together.
I was talking to a coworker about this, and we're going to get into it during theories, but I will fight Rebecca.
There will be riots in the street. Like, I stand on the hill that like you will ruin fantasy romance for me if you do not keep them together. Like, for real. That's how much I need this couple to survive or die together. They live or they die together. We've talked about
that's it. That's the only ending that's acceptable.
Yeah. And the hype is just unreal. So just read for yourselves, listen to our podcast, listen to our words and the words we're saying to you.
And let us know your thoughts. We always love hearing from y'all. Half palace, half barracks, but entirely a fortress, Royerston House has never been breached by an army. It survived countless sieges and 3 full-out assaults before falling under the flame of the very dragons it's existed to serve. Entire History, a Complete Accounting, 3rd edition by Captain Fitzgibbons. So, Violet wakes from another Venin stage dream in Royerston House next to Xaden. If you have forgotten, like Alex did, what happened at the end of part 1.
Listen, it's left my brain.
It's been a minute since we talked about this.
It's been a minute, and like I've been reading in between. It was a lot to keep in my brain even while I was reading it, so just bear with me.
So Violet is rescued from Varish's torture. Xaden comes in and rescues Violet like at the last second, and so is Dane, weirdly enough. So Dane had read Violet's memories to like prove to Varish that she's helping the quote unquote enemy, and he realizes what's happening and pretends to be on Varish's side, and then like helps like take them all down. And then Xaden comes in and kills the rest of them.
This is where things get messy with Dane, because the tide starts to shift in his favor. And I'm saying that very, very lightly, because homeboy out here has been such a mess and so disgusting and so riddled with betrayal to Violet.
I have mixed feelings about Dane, and it's hard because I don't.
Last episode we called him a grubby man.
I said that because I didn't want to spoil this.
I stand by that.
I like Dane a lot now.
Oh God,
because of this.
Jeez Louise. Okay.
I think because if I were in his situation, I would feel the exact same.
What situation would you ever be in that would be akin to this, MK? None.
You're telling me I can't get into the writer's quadrant?
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
Forged daggers.
I'm telling you that as a married woman, you're not having two hot men break down the door of a torture chamber to read your memories.
Isn't Dane like a plumber? Isn't that how we described him last time?
Like less cute than Mario. That's what we said. No, you said he was wearing plumber pants.
Yeah.
Which one?
I take it back.
No, Alex keeps that. So, but I can't deny the fact that this is a good move.
He did correct. He did good.
He did something good.
And he,
for once in his life, okay.
I will say he looks at Violet during this and says, I wish you had trusted me.
Oh my God.
And I think that's fair.
No.
Yes.
Liam died.
That's not his fault. He didn't know what he was saying.
I know, but he had a hand in that, even if he wasn't aware of it.
So?
I don't like it.
I mean, Violet had a hand in killing literally everyone who's ever been in the war as a scribe, helping the scribe quadrant.
Wait, what? Are you talking about, wait, what?
She's hiding, like, they were all hiding the fact.
Oh.
So that ended up killing so many people.
I see what you mean. Yeah. I mean, no doubt everyone's messy in this book. They have their hands in different cookie jars of death.
Yeah.
So, I mean, no doubt. I don't like Dane. That's it.
That's fine. I like Dane again.
It's okay.
Okay, so they wake up in bed together at Royston House. This is where the book starts, pretty much. Part 1. So we're here again. Yes, so there are now 100 riders at Aritia and like 150 dragons. And there's no wards or anything, really. Like, no structure. They're just like, here's people, and that's it.
So they fly to Aritia, and they're like, all these cadets who are basically untrained. Like, yeah, they're in their like second and third years and first years even. But they are not trained soldiers, and they're arriving at Royston House like, okay, well, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Like, we're here. Those that chose to come, you know?
Yep. So the cadets are wondering what to do next now that they're in Aritia. The assembly is upset about the onslaught of untrained cadets, and Xaden suggests continuing their training as normal. The assembly has confined Dane for the time being, and Violet argues that Kath, his dragon, is enough to vouch for his loyalty. The assembly still wants to confine Violet, and they point out that they still don't have the wards or a forge, and they can't deny the fact that Melgren may know their location. When Xaden continues vouching for Violet, she notices a silver scar on his neck as he claims to the assembly that she is his responsibility. Mentally, he tells her he did it right after delivering her to Brennan to be healed after Resson. With the assembly still upset, Xaden assures them that they can consider the cadets as his personal guests, since this is his home after all. And In this moment, Violet connects the empty throne to Xaden and realizes he is technically the heir and ruler. Suddenly, Violet feels Andarna is awake and feels whole for the first time in months. So, Andarna's been asleep literally the entire first part, so she now rushes out to meet Tarn, Andarna, and Scale once Andarna is awake. Her scales are still black, but Violet swears she sees her shimmer green. When Andarna tries to stand up, Violet is panicking when she realizes something's wrong with Andarna's wing. When she and Scale go hunt for food, she's super irritable and hungry. And Tarn assures Violet that the elders will work with her to get her wing to expand and get her footing. He explains that her appearance in the Battle of Ressen accelerated her growing process, and she was in the dreamless sleep much longer than normal. Violet asks Tarn if she will still be able to fly, and Tarn believes that eventually she'll be able to, but she'll never be able to bear a rider. Andarna doesn't know this, and it will most likely devastate her.
This is so sad.
It is.
Because the whole time Andarna's just been wanting to, like, help Violet, assist the dragons, like, be a part of the action, and now, like, she will never be able to let Violet ride her.
And especially, like, the connection she feels to Violet.
Yeah.
I can't imagine, like, not being able
to live that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very sad. But interesting thing there with the green that Violet sees. That will come back later.
With all we've sacrificed for this kingdom, we'd better be able to defend it. The Journal of Warwick of Lucerus. I put a note, LOL, or you did. I don't know who wrote this note. LOL, okay, Warwick, not like you were lying in your journals or anything.
I think you did that.
Probably.
Yeah.
I do a lot of parentheses, so it's probably me. In the meantime, the cadets have started their courses and new exercise routines and are hoping that their families will leave the border regions and move into Aritia. Violet is still busy trying to translate the journal for the Wardstone and believes the Six were practicing blood magic.
Ooh.
The name Brennan chose instead of Sorengale is Asari, which is Tyrish for resurrected, which I think that's like a really fun name that he chose.
It's a cute little like wink and a nod.
I just thought that was a fun little fact. As Battle Brief begins, Brennan, the new prof, says Fourth Wing has the Iron Squad of first years again, and Flame Section, specifically Violet Section, remains completely intact. Moving forward, all sections will be choosing their own leadership. In addition, it seems that the public still does not know about the Werven or Venin because the outpost dispatched the carcasses that Xaden just plopped there. As Brennan is talking, Tarn informs Violet that a riot is approaching. Brennan commands everyone to get to the Great Hall, and we learn that Teen is in the lead, so it means Mira is on her way, and Violet races out to see her and try to explain before they attack Aritia. And Brennan readies the crossbolts. Once Teen and Mira land, Tarn latches around Teen's neck, and as Mira dismounts, she assures Violet that it was Xaden that brought them here. Not too long ago, Violet asked Mira and Samara about the possibility of Venin, and Mira told her that she just needed more sleep.
Big yikes.
Honestly, yeah.
Big yikes, because all the people that had doubt for Violet, you know, that doubted her when she was trying to tell them something or like was just trying to like make her way through the Riders Quadrant. It gets exhausting.
Yeah.
And from her own sister, that's sad. But I'm glad that the siblings are like all together now. Like it's nice.
Mira apologizes for not taking her seriously and assures Violet that she did not know. About 10 hours after the Werven were dropped, General Sorengale confessed to all of the riders that Venin exists so they could decide to leave or stay. Brennan appears behind Violet and Mira just punches him straight in the face.
I love this.
It's a fair reaction, I think.
Like it is. Like, because I mean, like before Violet joined the Riders Quadrant, it's made pretty clear that Brennan and Mira were like the closest of the siblings, you know, because are they closest in age? I guess.
I assumed they were all 2 years apart, but I don't think that's true.
Okay.
At all, actually.
I'm assuming that Brennan and Mira were closest in age.
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. But they were closest siblings and like.
Well, because they also were both training for the Writers Quadrant their entire lives.
Yes, like they knew that they were going to go into the Writers Quadrant, separate from Violet, obviously, who was believed to go into was going to go into the Scribe Quadrant. So yeah, I mean, knowing that her brother has been dead all these years and then suddenly he's just casually like right in front of you and like he wrote a journal for you to survive the Writers Quadrant and like, it's valid.
Yeah. Mira and Brennan begin arguing, Violet standing there awkwardly, resuming her role as the little sister until she gets fed up and yells at them to shut the fuck up and announces that she needs the blood of the most powerful writers and residents to raise the wards. So, like, as a way to end the argument, she's like, I know how to open the wards. Let's go.
I love how, like, she survived the Writers Quadrant. She's here. She's, like, running this revolution. And then, like, just because the presence of her two older siblings, like she's like put back in that place. Like, it was cute, but it was like, oh my God.
Yeah. She translated Warwick's journal to read the blood of life of the six and the one combined and set the stone ablaze in an iron rain.
Ooh.
So she, Bodhi, and the Assembly make their way to the Wardstone. The Assembly states that they can get a luminary from Takaris if he can see Violet wield, to which Xaden will absolutely not allow, because he believes Takaris will keep Violet for his, like, collection of oddities.
Yeah, so Takaris is known to, like, kind of hoard objects. Like, he, like, keeps things in his home.
Yeah, like strange things and rare and powerful things.
Yeah.
The most powerful writers are Xaden, Felix, Suri, Bodhi, Violet, and Brennan. And Violet says that to raise the ward, they have to cut themselves to bleed on the stone. It fails immediately, and Violet blames herself, and Xaden reassures her that she'll try again. So there's two things I want to talk about here. One, I really like how they point out that the strongest writers are related. So Brennan and Violet, and then Bodhi and Xaden.
Yeah, like those are like two powerful families.
Yeah. I feel like that's something that's interesting.
And you know what? It's almost ironic to me that like Violet was like doubting her like hierarchy within like society, because I was like, girl, your mother was literally like the general.
Right.
Like, I know you're not like royalty or whatever, but like,
well, but Mira and most likely Brennan, when they were in the Writers Quadrant, also had people like trying to kill him.
Yeah, no, I meant like comparing herself to like Xaden.
Oh,
that's what I was talking about.
Oh,
yeah, because Xaden is technically like royalty,
right?
Technically on his throne, which we'll get to later.
But it's really funny to me that they actually thought that this would work. Like they would just like cut their palms and just have these like random six writers and like the wardstones would work. Like I just feel like as a scribe, she would know better than that.
Yeah. I mean, she's sitting here translating this like 600-year-old journal in like a language that like, of course, no one really knows but her and Dane. Have we gotten there yet?
Not yet.
Okay. So I guess, yeah. Spoiler, Dane knows, but
they're like, what gives them power? So they're all like, oh, the most powerful writers. What gives them power is their dragons.
Right.
Without their dragons, they don't have these magic, like
right.
this magic at all.
Right.
So to me, it just automatically makes sense that it would be the dragons that bring the wards.
Yeah. And like for her to get so upset, like, girl, it's your first try.
Yeah.
You're dealing with hundreds of years of like magic and like your only like magical defense system. Like, of course it's not going to go right the first time you try it.
And also she was just tortured for like 6 days.
I know things are like precarious and like I myself have never run a revolution, but like, get a grip. It's okay.
I feel like this book literally should have been called like Get a Grip, Violet and Xaden.
Yeah, because that is what it is. They were messy and delusional.
They were. The entire book. Anyway. Oh, well, part two, my second thing I wanted to note here. This book honestly should be called Violet Blames Herself and Fights with Xaden. Because as we discussed last episode, she needs to get a grip.
Literally, 80% of this book was dialogue in either Violet's mind to herself, Violet and Xaden dialogue, or that's it.
Her to anyone who would listen about how she's a failure.
Yeah, or how things were not going well with her and Xaden. So, and then the other 20% are like terrible events.
Yeah,
that
like
happen.
action-packed, like nonstop.
So 80% is like petty arguments, self-hatred, and Darna being hungry. And then 20% is like actual events of the book.
Violet blames herself and fights with Xaden.
Is that the next paragraph?
No, that's what I said the book should be called. I just think that's really funny.
Yeah.
Okay. Violet hatches a new plan and begins her training with Felix instead of focusing on how many times she can wield, which is what Carr wanted of her. He wants her to focus on her aim. He ends up giving her a conduit to help her build control.
Which, speaking of that, like why didn't she second guess Carr, you know? I guess because he was like in cahoots with Varish, technically. Well, not cahoots, but Varish was having Carr like.
Well, I think Felix kind of explains that like he was probably scared of Violet.
Of Violet's power.
Yeah, because she's so powerful.
Yeah, okay. If I had lightning wielding, I'd be like, why am I not being trained to wield, like aim it?
To be fair, I think I would be so overwhelmed with like everything going on in my life. I'd be like,
True.
Sure.
This is one thing I don't have to worry about. Except she does when the venom comes. But anyway.
So he gives her, it's like this little like glass orb with metal in it. And she uses it as like a way to handle her emotions. Violet is angry with her lack of control and tells him that she's not a threat, which, ma'am. And Felix responds with, what you want to be doesn't change what you are without work. So he's literally telling her that she is a threat and she's got to reel it in ASAP or everyone here could die. Felix explains that it was her who led the cadets to Aritia, and Violet argues that Xaden did. Which Felix says she was the one who wielded Xaden and that it's just as much of a threat to Aritia as she is to Bascaith. She argues that she is not powerful because Xaden loves her, and Felix agrees that she is powerful and that he loves her.
This is important because, again, comes in the self-doubt, right? And it was her decision to Xaden to say, okay, we need to let the cadets choose, right? That's a big moment.
Yeah.
So
Xaden was like, we're running.
Yeah, Xaden's like, we're out of here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't give a F about these kids.
Yeah.
This college. They never cared about me.
Yeah.
You were just tortured nearly to death. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
So she needs to give herself more credit.
She does.
And she needs to believe in Xaden's love for her. That's the biggest point here. Because if she literally has a professor trying to teach her lightning and he has to be like, girl, your boyfriend loves you. Like, she needs to settle down.
Well, and she's also getting mad. She's like, no, I'm powerful. Like, end of sentence. And it's like, but you can be powerful and you can also be powerful because he loves you. Like, that's two separate things.
Yes. Yes.
His true first action of rebellion was to seek allies, the first of which was Viscount Takaris of the Poromish province of Krovla. This is from the Tyrish Rebellion, A Forbidden History by Colonel Felix Geralt. Violet, Mira, and Brennan sneak away to Corden without telling Xaden so that they can meet with Takaris and they can finally get the forgery machine. As they enter, flyers and their griffins meet them, and Violet notices cadets amongst the flyers. They request that the three siblings each provide them a truth before entering so that they can gain their trust, since one of them is a truth sayer. And instead of having physical powers, most Griffin riders have like a mind power. Like they're much more skilled in like the mind magic.
Yeah, they obviously don't have signets like the dragon riders. So it's important to realize their power within the mind. Like Katrina's power obviously will come into a really big play. Those types of things.
Yeah, it's very like mental, like heightening senses, or like not like a physical like shadow or lightning.
It's also important to note that the Griffin Riders' powers do not work within the wards.
Right. Which is why they are being attacked by Venin.
Yes.
And also because they're closest to the Venin like area.
Yes, yes.
So as the Griffins part, once they give their truths, as the Griffins part for their entrance, a figure in black is standing there. And surprise, it's Xaden.
Whoopsie.
Oops. Having refused every proposal from the Isle Kingdoms, Queen Mariah has named her distant cousin, Viscount Takaris of Corden, as her heir. As the Viscount is living in his 5th decade and has no direct heirs of his own, the decision has not been a popular one. On the aristocracy of Peromial. Oh. This is from the aristocracy of Peromial. That's essentially to say that his nieces and nephews are the ones in line for the throne then. Which, interesting. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Xaden is obviously furious, turning to Brennan and saying, I can't believe you brought her here. And Brennan replies, I can't believe you think you outrank me, which I thought was so funny.
I thought this was so funny. I was like, yes, Brennan, because Brennan's not really scared of Xaden like everyone else is, you know? And I think it's important because Violet is his little sister.
Yeah.
It's cute. I like their dynamic. I like Xaden and Brennan dynamic.
Yeah. They're very like brotherly to each other.
Yeah. And I feel like Xaden respects Brennan enough. Mm-hmm. And I think Brennan obviously respects Xaden enough.
Yeah.
So it's important.
As they enter the grounds, Xaden starts describing features to the group. And Violet's like, wait, what? How do you know about this butterfly garden? The palace is truly luxurious and completely ridiculous. Even Tarn was like, this place is made of glass. Like, I could land on it and it would all break. Like, When they meet the Viscount, he tells them that they must get ready for dinner and turns to his niece, who will help Mira and Violet get settled. And lo and behold, it's our friend Katrina.
Messy, messy bitch.
Yeah, so Katrina, as we know, is Xaden's ex. And that's pretty much all we know of her right now, I think.
And that she hates Violet.
Yes.
Loathes Violet. Xaden's ex. This is her home and her lineage. Messy.
Very messy. So, of course, that's why Xaden is so familiar with Corden. Xaden asks Violet if she'd like to get ready in his room, which was very weird. And she tells him that she wants some space. Before he leaves, he reminds her that every flyer here would love to see her and Mira murdered. But Violet snaps, telling Xaden that he needs to stop keeping her safe, which just...
She's literally in basically enemy territory. And she's like, can you just stop keeping me safe? How about you shut your mouth and like...
Well, or just like listen to him, because he
just
might
like
actually...
listen.
He's been here multiple times.
Yes.
He might know a thing or two.
And girl, I get it. All right. You're showing up to this hussy's home. No.
I think perhaps she shouldn't have just shown up.
Facts. This is the problem. Okay. Yes, shade to Katrina. Okay, yes. Lots of shade to her. But Violet did just sneak away without telling Xaden in the middle of a revolution.
I'm surprised.
To people that he specifically warned her against for her safety.
I'm surprised Brennan said okay.
Yeah, and the only reason why Brennan said okay is because Mira was going to.
Yeah.
And he was like, no way am I allowing both of my sisters to go. And so I get that she's feeling a lot right now, and it's definitely Katrina messing with her as well. But it's also like, you need to listen to this man who is familiar with this area, with these people, and like, just let him protect you, girl. It's okay.
Because we'll soon learn, if she allowed him to talk, she would have learned of Katrina's power and wouldn't have been affected as much. So while they're talking about how she needs to be kept safe, she compares last year to this year, which, like, everything's so different. We're not comparing things here. And he says that he wasn't in love with her then. And in Alex's words, in a move that I vehemently disagree with, Violet compares Xaden to Gag's Dane and slams the door in his face. I actually thought this was my note. I thought this was hilarious.
No, you cannot. I was so angry when she said that. Like, I was like, how dare you?
But he was a little bit.
He was being a little bit Danish.
He's correct.
Yeah, he's correct.
He's right.
But he is being a little bit Danish.
Because
in the sense that you're saying. Yeah, I know. But it just pisses me off. Like, I was like.
I know. Yeah. So they get dressed in beautiful gowns with Katrina just talking shit about them the whole time. Once Kat sees Mira and Violet, she begins the, like, catty game, and Serena has to tell her to stop being a wretch, which I love Serena.
Yeah, because they're sisters, but, like, Serena's not one to, like, fuck about.
Yeah. And even when we met them last time they did, like, a dagger drop, I respect Violet for being able to say that she liked Serena.
Yeah, me too.
Like, she was able to separate the two siblings.
Yeah, I agree, because it can be hard, but Serena's a bad bitch.
Yeah. Doubt begins to creep into Violet, and Serena mentions that she and Kat have an older brother. I thought it was an older cousin.
Older brother.
Oh. That would be into Mira. Interesting. Violet is wondering what is making her emotions spike when she assures Kat that she isn't the one she'll be picking a fight with, and Kat scoffs at the thought of Violet seeking a fight with Xaden, saying he never loses control, which she's just saying to, like, get under her skin. As they enter the dining room, Violet's gaze immediately finds Xaden because he's, quote, her center of gravity. They start speaking mentally, Xaden saying she's not playing fair with her dress, and Violet saying that she's still angry with him. And they kiss as Xaden brings his shadows up around them. She instantly feels better, not only because of Xaden's proximity, but because he's explaining to her that the shadows can block out Kat's abilities. She has the power to heighten emotions to the extreme. Another thing Violet uses to weaponize in her arsenal of things Xaden hasn't been upfront about. Which, again, if she had told Xaden that she was going, he would have argued, sure, but he at least would have prepared her.
Or, like, even just talk to him about how she was feeling.
Yeah.
Like, she could have easily said, like, I've been feeling crazy. Like,
yeah.
Talk me through this. And he could have easily been like, oh, it's probably fucking Kat.
Well, he literally was like, if you hadn't have blocked me out of our, like, connection, I was going to tell you. That's why I wanted you to get ready in my room. Like.
Yeah, she's being, like, a little petty. Violet is. A little petty.
Takaris interrupts them, and as though Xaden had heard Kat earlier, states that maintaining control is nearly impossible around Violet.
I love this. I was like, yes, sir. Because it doesn't matter if he heard them or not. Like, I'm sure he did.
He did.
Well, he did. But it's just like he said it specifically to get a Kat to reassure Violet and to tell literally every single person in that room, this is my woman.
Yeah.
This is exactly how I feel about her.
Yeah.
Hot.
Very hot.
Hot as shit.
It's almost like Violet should realize how much he loves her.
Or how much he knows.
That too. Takaris leads the group to an outdoor arena where there is an empty field and instructs Violet to wheel down there. He won't allow Xaden to accompany her, but will allow Mira.
Red flag.
How was his name said?
Takaris.
Takaris presents Violet with a chest that was Xaden's father's, which is a symbol. It's like a priceless chest, and it's the symbol of Xaden and Kat, and her wielding against it is essentially like destroying the vow that they have. Like, it's a dig at Xaden, The chest bursts open, and suddenly Violet and Mira find themselves facing a Venin. Though her extraordinary signet allows her to extend the wards around herself and her dragon, Cadet Sorengale lacks the consistent ability to produce her own wards without extreme emotional distress. I'm sorry to report, I doubt this ability will develop in time. I had such high hopes for her. And this is a note from Professor Carr to General Sorengale. So it's essentially saying, like, while Mira was in school, her signet could only produce a ward around herself. And, like, that was it. Tarn is immediately concerned, but there's nothing he can do. Violet tries to get Mira to leave, but she refuses to, like, let her face this Venin alone. As Xaden makes his way to the steps, Violet tells him to stay put because they still need the luminary. The Venin recognizes Violet as the one, quote, he wants, and vows he will return with her. Brennan joins the fight and encourages Mira to shield, otherwise they're all dead. In her head, Xaden orders, you will live. And Violet tells Brennan to get Mira out, worried that she could kill them both with her lightning. So something that Venin can do is, like, suck the, like, life out of the ground. And so that's what was happening. And Mira had to, like, produce a ward around them to make sure they didn't get the life sucked out of them, which she was able to do. But after she did that, she passed out from, like, how much power it took. And so she was yelling at Brennan to, like, get them off.
Yeah, because all Tekaris wants to see is, like, Violet kill the Venin, essentially. Like, he's just toying with Violet to, as you said, get a dig at Xaden. So it doesn't matter whether Mira and Brennan are in the arena or not. It's, can Violet defeat the Venin? Yeah.
Okay, so this actually is a really cool part. It's raining at this point, and so the arena is kind of filling with water. So she has Tarn come once she knows Brennan and Mira are out. Tarn picks her up and she wields lightning, and the water, like, conducts the energy, and the Venin dies that way. It was very cool.
Very cool part.
And the daggers, of course. So when she, like, arrives back up to where the Viscount is, Xaden literally has him in a death grip until Violet says he should be released so that they can at least get information on why the fuck that just happened. Tekaris wanted to punish Xaden for canceling the alliance, and as he's sprawled on the ground, forces him to apologize to Violet, and then they negotiate. Tekaris first offers Violet a deal that if she stands guard over himself, she and Xaden and their dragons can rule over their own, like, private island in peace. She denies it, like, immediately, and Tekaris tries to say that she didn't earn the luminary, but simply the right to discuss it, which, BS.
So stupid.
Brennan is enraged by this and insists that they can trade weapons to secure the luminary, to which Tekaris responds by saying that if they want the luminary, they will also take the flyer cadets back with them to Ritia. So to Violet's dismay, Brennan readily agrees, and we learn that the flyer cadets are there because there was a deadly attack on their school during the first part of the book. And their school was destroyed by Navarians, and these are just the survivors of the school. So it's like if Bathscath was completely destroyed. So
there's a lot to unpack here. So the Griffin Riders are there, and Tekaris wants Xaden and Violet to take them back to Riorsan House. This is big because dragons and griffins obviously do not get together, nor do their riders get along together.
Right. Griffins and dragons, I think, are fine. They can talk to each other enough, but they're just on different sides of a war. It's more, the issue is that Riorsan House is on the top of a mountain, and the griffins do not have really the capacity to fly up there.
Yeah. Dragons really don't respect griffins either. At least Tarn doesn't.
More like Andarna.
Yeah.
I don't think Tarn really has an issue with griffins.
No, he says it. Something about, like, they can't deal with the shame of, like, not being able to make it up the pass or something like that.
Oh, well, I mean, like, he thinks he's superior, but that's because he is, so.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. So here come the griffins.
Oof. So, from the dangerous waves of the Arctile Ocean to the lowest plains of the Tirandor Plateau, the cliffs of Drailer rise to over 12,000 feet in places, making them unflyable by griffin. While there are 3 well-carved paths within Navarre to ascend the plateau along the Crovelian border, exists only one, and it is deadly to both griffin and flyer. Do not attempt under any circumstances. This is from Chapter 2 of the Tactile Guide to Defeating Dragons by Colonel Elijah Huron. So, they have thankfully successfully secured the Luminary in addition to the flyers. So, looks like Kat's staying. In order to make it to Aritia, both flyers and riders must hike together in a 12-hour journey up the cliffs of Drailer. Brennan is using this trek as a bonding exercise amongst the riders and flyers, not only because of their historical and political tension, but because a rider would never truly trust in the ability of a flyer unless they complete a task like the parapet. So they're, instead of comparing it to like their own school, they're like, we're not going to trust you no matter what, so at least walk this freaking parapet.
Yeah, they basically want to like see the griffins and their riders in action. Like they're like, okay, well, we've seen the face of death or whatever. Okay. And so, and it's ironic because the griffins and the riders have literally been like fighting a war against the Venom like this entire time. So it's ironic that the dragon riders are like, have the audacity to be like, okay, well, like show us what you can do. Basically, like it's a little ironic, but up they go.
Each squad is paired with a flyer squad of equal strength, so that means Kat, of course, is in Violet's squad. Although no one's happy about it, especially the flyers and the griffins, they realize that going to Aritia is the best chance of survival for them. Surprisingly, Sloane is the one who also hates Kat just as much as everyone else because Liam didn't like her, and Violet tells Sloane that she wishes it was anyone else who would have died on her behalf.
Yikes.
So they have a little bonding moment. Marin, Kat's best friend, but is more agreeable, and I put is just more likable in general.
For sure.
Describes the process of selecting griffins. When flyers jump from a cliff, so what they do instead of like doing a parapet and threshing and the gauntlet and like proving yourselves, they literally just like go up on a thing and like jump off of it and like hope that a griffin like picks them up, and if they don't, they just like swim to shore. Like, yeah,
they just like land in a river and then they survive. Like no one dies from not being selected by a griffin. Like they just live their life in like infantry or something.
Yeah,
it's completely different than Basgaithworth College.
Right. So of course they're all shocked since they face death literally every day in order to win their dragons. They come upon Dane warning everyone of a pressure trigger set to trap the griffins and the 5-foot jump that they'll have to make to avoid it. Violet comes up with an idea for one of the, like her and Luella, who's one of the smaller flyers, that if Rydok can hammer a sword into the like surface of the mountain, then they can use it as a bar to swing and propel themselves across. So Luella is a smaller flyer, the same size as Violet, and she nearly misses the jump and propels herself forward, simultaneously triggering the trap and knocking Violet and Visya towards the edge of the cliff. Visya is a dragon rider in her squad, a first year. So Violet is holding both Visya and Luella's life like in her hands over this edge, and because she is a little weakling, her like shoulders popped out of place and she literally cannot move. Also, while this happened, so as she holds them both, Violet's shoulder pops out of its socket as Sib, the Luella's griffin, grabs Visya to safety, but he can't get to Luella. And Rydok has 2 arrows from the trap sticking out of his abdomen, and Violet is just like screaming for Brennan. So this
was a lot.
Thought Rydok was going to die, and I was going to throw friggin' hands.
Because at this point, they've lost so many members of their squad. They've already had the saying, like, okay, like, we're going to make it to graduation, like no deaths or whatever. And like this part was so sad because it's of the utmost important that like the riders and the Griffin riders, Dragon riders and Griffin riders like get along and work together. So the fact that this Griffin rider, Luella, like not only triggers the trap, she's off the cliff with Vicia, Violet's trying to save both of them. Ultimately, Luella ends up falling, and Rhydock is like shot with 2 arrows because Luella couldn't make it. Like, it's all very precarious.
Yeah, it's super well, and this is the only casualty that happens. So at this point in the journey, so it's all just like a lot. And they're so close to the top.
They're so close to the top.
So Dane thankfully comes to Violet's aid and tries to reach for Luella, but Luella slips from Violet's grasp, and her Griffin can't get to her in time because he can't fly and this high up. Kat immediately is blaming Violet for Luella's death, but Marin assures everyone that she saw the whole thing and it wasn't Violet's fault. Even the Griffin, was trying to help both of them. Like,
yeah,
if he had a choice, he would have gotten both of them, like it wasn't. But for them, the Griffins die if the Flyers die. It only sometimes happens with Dragon Riders, so that's also a difference. But Luella's Griffin Sib dies and the Flyers mourn it. Violet has Dane set her shoulder into place because she wants Brennan to mend Rhydock more than her. And also Dane has done it like 3 or 4 times while they were growing up, so he knows what to do. As if that wasn't enough, Violet sees wing beats through the mist, hoping it was a dragon, but of course it's not. Tarn rushes to Violet and the squad rushes into battle as everyone else scrambles up the cliff. Violet uses her power to down the 4 Werven by gathering them in a cloud and wielding lightning. So it was kind of the same technique that she used on the Venom with Dakaris.
Yeah, she's learning more about her power and like how to actually like more efficiently wield it. And like it's really cool how she's like using the water, using the clouds. Like it's not just her basically exploding, like she's learning to be more smart with them.
Yeah, and this is the first time she's wielded lightning like underneath her. So that was also like her and Tarn were flying over it. So her and Tarn return to the others atop the cliff. They realize that the Werven appeared because of the shift of magic due to a hatchling being born in Aritia and the shared collective consciousness between Werven and their creators. So now that they all know that new dragons are being born and where they're being born. So that's bad.
Not good.
They don't have wards, so they can't protect themselves. And now they know where they are. Huzzah.
Not good all around.
As the death toll is read, the Flyers openly grieve, which is a shock to the riders, and Violet considers whether the cruelty the riders endure makes them stronger or simply just harder. Violet's squad and Kat's Flyer squad is called together the next morning, and Tarn reminds a disgruntled Andarna that they do not eat their allies. However, Andarna really does want to eat the sassy one.
Basically, Kat is just like mouthing off this entire time, and like Andarn is like, "What a good snack!"
Yep.
She could be.
Sawyer asks Violet if he can teach him sign language for Jasenia, which is so cute.
It's so cute. I love them. They're so sweet.
I know, and he's like, "Everyone knows sign language but me, so please teach me." It's so cute. Professor Trissa announces that the group will be training in runes. So Violet realizes this is why Zayden had her practicing Tyrish knots. And again, wishes he had been more upfront with her.
All I can do is sigh. I mean, honestly, this is such a simple thing that he probably could have told her.
That's what I said.
Like, it's such a simple thing. It has nothing really to do with the revolution. I mean, yeah, it's going to be beneficial to them, but like,
I mean, he could have told her like part 1 when she like straight up asked, like, why'd you give this to me?
Yeah, like why be so weird and secretive about it? It's not necessary.
Violet realizes that Xaden had put a rune on one of the daggers, allowing them an easier escape from the interrogation. So it unlocks locked doors, and it also shields from Kat's emotional distress. Xaden tells Violet about the runed stone that he keeps by his bed and how all 107 of the Mark Ones carry the same stone and would activate to counter the signet of the rider whose dragon would kill them. And would only activate when killed by dragonfire. Because of violence still breaking out amongst riders and flyers, Emeterio and Deborah, the professors, decide that they will no longer be separated for classes and to open up challenges for one day. So you can't challenge anyone in your squad. So if you have a grievance against someone, get it out now. Unsurprisingly, Kat challenges Violet, and Violet is disgusted by the fact that they have the same fighting styles because, of course, Xaden trained them both. Could you imagine, though?
I'd be so livid. Like, I'd be like, because Violet is going into this probably thinking that she has, like, the one up on Kat.
Yeah.
You know, Kat is obviously a strong warrior as well, but Violet has trained with the Xaden Rorson, okay? Also her lover and soulmate and fated mate. So she's going in there thinking like, okay, yeah, this girl has history with my man, but at least she doesn't fight like him. Well, that's a big mistake because she does.
She also fights dirty as fuck.
She really does. She's messy.
So Kat immediately gets under Violet's skin, saying like, doesn't it bother you that I know what he tastes like?
Oh my God. When I read that, I was like, oh, girl.
And Violet fights back the vomit. Despite the rules, Kat is clearly using her powers to overwhelm Violet on the mat. And Kat reminds Violet of her and Xaden's engagement and that she will not relinquish the crown to Violet, which she's like, what? Crown? What? As rage fills her, Violet takes Kat to the mat and reaches for her throat. And she also says, you know that one trick where he does that with his fingers? And she's just like seeing red, like complete red. So Kat's eyes widen in panic as with her hands around Kat's neck. As Xaden's voice comes through the bond telling Violet that he wouldn't care if she killed Kat, but he knows that ultimately Violet would care. He says, I respect any choice you make. Violet tells Xaden that she needs him because although she's let Kat's throat go, she can't fully remove herself from on top of her. Xaden scoops Violet up, and Imogen, understanding what's happening, tells Deborah that Kat was cheating through mind work. Violet struggles against Xaden as Kat still taunts her and eventually lets lightning loose with no concern for the other cadets, just like out in the open, which is what Felix was trying to prevent with the conduits. Once she gains distance from Kat, the power lessens and she regains control and a whole heap of embarrassment as Xaden carries her to the assembly room where he kicks everyone out.
I know it's coming.
To distract Violet from Kat, in Alex's words, fun things happen on the throne. This is where he says, and I'm sure we've all seen it,
Everywhere.
my house, my chair, my woman.
Ooh. That's also Xaden's throne, technically. So it's very hot.
Yes. After this little scene, Violet tries to reciprocate. Oh, she insists because she could feel like his need, this was really interesting. He like could channel his thoughts to her. Like not just like their bond, but they're like not just like him speaking to her, but like his thoughts, which
in real time.
Yeah.
Like as they were happening.
So I'm interested to see what that means.
Because they did that in the last book where he like showed her what they looked like through his eyes. Yeah. But this was like his internal dialogue as it was happening, which was so good.
So he starts a conversation about Violet wanting to kill Kat while he ties her shoes. And this is cute because she's like, he's such like a badass, but he like kneels in front of me and ties my shoes. Violet asks how Xaden could ever love her, and he responds with, "I didn't. You are the first and only woman I've ever loved." So Violet returns to the argument that Xaden didn't tell her pertinent information about their engagement, and Xaden returns to the argument that she doesn't ask questions she doesn't want the answers to. Eye roll. He calls her out on this and explains the betrothal situation with Kat. So he inevitably ended things. So their like partnership was between their families more than anything. And it was because Kat was third in line for her throne, whereas she would be queen with Xaden.
Well, Takaris and Xaden's father had an alliance.
Right.
And part of that alliance was Xaden and Kat's betrothal.
Yeah. So he inevitably ended things when he figured that they were not compatible, breaking the alliance clause. Xaden explains to Violet that Kat didn't make her do anything. Kat just capitalizes on what feelings are already there. So she can't use a person unless they're allowing themselves to be used, saying, you know, if she was feeling anger, it's because she was angry. If she was feeling inferior, it's because she felt inferior. Like she doesn't create emotions. She can't use a person unless they're allowing themselves. Yeah, I said that. They discuss Violet's exes, and Xaden gets upset when discussing the possibility of her exes because it implies that there's any other future besides the one where you and I are endgame.
Yup.
Very
Yup,
cute.
yup. Rebecca, you had your character say it. Now you need to stick to it. Okay,
Yep.
lady, because he said it verbatim. You and I are endgame. Therefore, they need to be endgame. Okay?
Yeah, because Rebecca, you're acting like an ex right now.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're implying that there is an ending without them together. And you need to stop it.
You need to shut that down right now because I'm sick and tired of it.
He asks her to explain to him why exactly she feels so inferior, something that Kat has been able to continuously wield against her. And he states that they will be in a real relationship with feelings and discussions.
I like this. Homeboy is setting his boundaries. Homeboy is letting her know, like, listen, yes, we are fighting a war. Yes, we are in the middle of a revolution. Yes, we are messy individuals, but like, we will have a real relationship. We will talk about our feelings. Although I will keep many secrets from you and not tell you about Knots or my previous ex who was my betrothed.
Yeah. But it's very sweet that like when he learns, like she feels inferior, not to like she's afraid that Xaden views her as
inferior, as
less than Kat, which is not at all like what's happening. And so this is like the whole conversation. It's very sweet that he's like, I don't want to have to tell you this again, but I'll tell you until you believe it.
Yeah, like he's not getting exasperated by the need to like reassure her, which is very important. And like,
which, wow, I would be pissed. I'd be like, I'm leading this revolution. Now I have to make sure your little tiny heart's not
like, okay.
Yeah.
No, like, but there's so much more than that. Because at this point to Xaden, Violet is it. Like he
literally has said, I don't care about this war. Like we can lose this war.
Like take it or leave it. I don't care about it. Yeah. Okay. I care about you. So like whatever you need me to say or we need to talk about or like hash out, like let's do it. So mad respect. It's probably the healthiest they've been in this entire book in this conversation.
And it's also funny because it's kind of like a switcheroo from last book where Violet was the one who was like, no, we're going to have a relationship. And Xaden was like, no. And now it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Violet says she hasn't been in control of her emotions since Resson and describes the feeling of having seemingly met failure again and again since then. Again, this book should be titled Violet Blames Herself and Fights with Xaden. Xaden tells Violet that he cannot find her center for her and that Kat has never... That should be 2 separate sentences.
I wrote these notes in case we're wondering.
We did collab on these notes because it was
we
a lot.
MK did end up having to help me write the last bit because it was just so much.
It was
so shout out to MK.
He also says that Kat has never had him on his knees in front of her. He says it in a lot different words, and it was very good. Anyway.
I bet she never sat on his throne.
Oh, no. You know she didn't. Flyers and riders are held equal in every regard with the exception of wing structure. Riders will maintain their wings, sections, and squads, as well as retain their commands. Every drift will be absorbed by a squad, and their leader will replace the squad's current executive officer for unit cohesiveness and efficiency. Article 2, Section 1 of the Eretia Accord. So fun. They now have their own set of rules. So, of course, Kat's drift will be absorbed into Violet's squad, and the squad is reluctant to give them their patches, since they're the Iron Squad. Kat states that she's still coming after the crown, and Violet simply states that they were all melted down, so good luck with that. She also says, you know that trick you mentioned, the one with the fingers, thanks, and walks away.
Yes, ma'am, Violet. Yes, ma'am.
This was my favorite quote.
Yes.
I was so happy about this.
Yes, like, because this is Violet regaining some of her Violetness.
Yeah.
Okay, like, this is book 1 Violet here.
Yeah.
Like, this is like fierce, like, I know who I am. I know who my man is.
Not second guessing herself. I know who your musty ass is, Katrina, bitch. So as she and her squad are walking away, they're all like, oh shit. Violet's squad offers to kill Kat, and Andarna says that she could use a snack. Violet takes her squad to the library where she has enlisted Dane's help in translating the journal because he's like, while they were growing up, she specialized in this one and he specialized in that one or whatever. The close proximity allows Dane to get in a few words, and he tries to talk to Violet about all of the messy events between them, i.e. Resin. She points to his love affair with the Codex, and he tries to apologize for the deaths he had a role in at Resin. Alex says boo.
MK does not say boo.
I say
semi-boo.
I say you should apologize. And you did, so.
Oh.
Okay.
Boo.
I'm not happy that it happened. Liam was my favorite character.
Yeah.
She asks if he invaded her memories every time he touched her, and he says no, that it happened by accident the first time. She says she's unsure if she'll ever be able to trust him again. And as she notices that he's imbuing the stones, she gets an idea. Dane then asks Violet if she's really in love and with Xaden, and she responds yes, and that's never going to change. Keep your freaking word, Violet. And he says he will trust Xaden as much as she does. And I think that's been proven so far.
I will say I had respect for him when he said this. Like, okay, like, because obviously Dane hates Zane with his whole entire being, okay? He hated him when Violet first walked across the parapet. He hated him when they started dating or whatever they were doing. He's hated Xaden this entire time. Well, and Xaden doesn't really help things by like continuously mocking him and his position.
I will say, like, it was groomed of him.
Yeah, like, well, and that's true. Like, we cannot deny the fact that Atos, his father, was in a position of power, specifically going against the marked ones and the parents of the rebellion, right? So for him to say, like, okay, because I have so much trust in you, Violet, and so much respect for you, I can say to you that I'm going to respect and trust this man who I despise. And I respect that.
Yeah.
Because They are literally enemies and basically rivals. So
I will say I don't think either of them hates the other anymore. Xaden probably does, but Dayton I think is at the point where he's like, I've just been lied to my entire life. Like, I'm just taking a backseat and letting this happen.
And that's probably true. He definitely had more hate for Xaden in book one, but
right. Well, which he had, like, he didn't have a right to, but he was told to by
that was
like
just
every
conditioning.
Adult.
Yeah.
And now that he's like learned literally everyone in his life has lied to him, and he is the cause for the death of two like great writers.
He's probably wanting to lean on Violet. Like he's
as
probably,
friend,
yeah, like, okay, like we're here in this land who I previously thought was literally the enemy who we were fighting against. And you're basically the only person that I know and can trust enough.
Yeah.
So slight respect, I guess.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit of pity for him, honestly.
I feel bad for him, yeah. Still don't like him, but feel bad for him.
I like him.
Okay.
He's coming back. I hated him,
We
though,
disagree,
so.
but that's okay.
Mastery of one's signet does not occur at Basgaith, nor in the years directly after. No writer alive truly believes they've reached the limitations of their power. The dead ones may feel differently. This is from a Friendra's Guide to the Writer's Quadrant, which this is a really interesting quote because there are some writers like Tarn's last writer that use all of their power and die.
I want to know more about that situation.
Yeah.
I hope that they cover it in the third book.
It's for sure a theory somewhere.
Yeah, I need to know.
Violet is back training with Felix, and he gets her to try and strike the conduit and tells her she needs to not fear her power, and she thinks to herself that it's herself that she fears. Tarn says she shouldn't be scared of herself, and Violet asks him how he can go through life so self-assured. And he just says it's life. Nope. Xaden is alarmingly home early because of the Dark Wielders moving incredibly closer to Aritia. Violet brings Xaden his favorite chocolate cake, and he is sulkily sitting on a turret of Rierson House and his like kind of hiding place. And they talk about how the mission went, and it was pretty sucky, and Mira had to call him off the battlefield. He says, I know how all of the marked ones treated you as a vulnerable extension of me. And that's how Mira treated him. Dane and Violet are now translating the journal when she realizes how to do it, but she thinks maybe they shouldn't. She now translates it to the breath of the life of the six and the one combined and set the stone ablaze in an iron flame.
Ooh.
It's almost like it's the title of the book.
There it is. Bada bing, bada boom.
So all of Rye's squad meets at her sister Reagan's house in Aritia so that Violet can break the news that if they raise the wards properly, the Griffin Flyers won't be able to wield. She has another nightmare, and the Venom says you won't turn for power or for jealousy like everyone else. You'll turn for love. When the time comes, you will be tearing down the wards yourself. I'm scared.
I'm terrified. Like, what is it talking about? Like, you won't turn for power or for jealousy like everyone else. You will turn for love. When the time comes, you will be tearing down the wards yourself. What are you talking about?
That's a big foreshadow for sure. I'm scared.
Oh.
And when she wakes, she is next to Xaden telling herself it's just a dream.
Lies, delusional, you're being delusional, you're being delulu.
And she asks Tarn, like, do you listen to my dreams? And he was like, I don't have time for this. Like,
okay, but perhaps you should have time for it because like
she felt like gaslit. I was like, no, ma'am, you tell your motherfucking dragon.
That's the thing, like, because maybe Tarn could have helped her or like given her some insight on this.
Yes.
Because no way is this just like a casual dream that she's having. The Venom is literally talking to you about events that are currently happening or going to happen. Like, you need to pay attention.
The art of imbuing comes naturally to only a handful of signets and automatically only to one, the siphon. A study on signets by Major Dalton Cisneros. So they are doing a game, like kind of a squad game of who can find the most summoning runes. Violet, Kat, Sloane, and Visya are hiking down a ridge that Tarn picked out, like in this mountain that you can only get to by walking, so that they can get to the summoning room Tarn found. And Darna and the Griffin are small enough to walk down with them, but they can't fly. Visya asks if Violet will get a second signet since she has 2 dragons, but Sloane says you only get a second signet or go mad if you're directly related to a previous rider. Big bomb right here.
This is extremely, extremely important.
Violet is immediately thrown off since we learned that Scale bonded with Xaden's grandfather, Solus. Nope. Xaden's grandfather.
No.
I was like, whoa.
No.
Okay. Solus, Varsh's rider, finds them and kills Visya with one swipe of his talons. Violet jabs the conduit into Solus after stabbing him and the last remaining good eye with her dagger and steps back to wield her power into him. He swings his tail and she goes flying across the room, and Sloane starts dragging Violet out of the cave as Kat uses her bow to hit Solus, and Sloane realizes that she's draining Violet and freaks out that she's turning venom, but they realize that she's actually a siphon. Once they get outside later, Andarna joins them, and she has killed Solus.
Yay, Andarna.
Proud of you, girlfriend.
So a lot happened here.
Yep.
LOL. Okay, so Solus returns. What a terrible dragon. Andarna kills him. Where was she? How is she hiding? We'll find out.
Xaden comes storming into their room with the healer while the healer is checking her out and is shocked to find Kat is there with Violet. She says it's the least she could do since Violet saved her. Violet and Xaden, of course, get into a fight. Surprise, surprise. And he says, I'm trying to protect your freedom and keep you safe. And Violet's like, oh, keep me safe? I get it mixed up with just not killing me.
Girl.
Xaden backs up and he's like, you're finally ready to talk about the deal I made with your mother? Violet's like, you knew that I knew? And he's like, of course I did. Interesting. Side eye. How'd you know that? And he just digs in on the whole, just ask and I'll answer.
This is so annoying.
That was very annoying.
Violet has never annoyed me more than this moment. And Xaden continuously bringing up like, okay, well, you're not asking the right questions pisses me off more than anything. Like, I'm on the Xaden train, right? But for him to keep saying this to Violet when there are so many pressing matters to be discussed, it's incredibly frustrating.
You know. And from the Journal of Warwick of Lucaris, it says, nothing kills powerful, unshakable love faster than opposing ideologies. Which I thought was really funny. I know.
Nothing kills powerful, unshakable love faster than opposing ideologies.
I was like, damn.
That's actually foreshadowing. Oh my God.
What do you mean? Like with
opposing ideologies.
Well,
opposing forces.
They already were.
What do you mean?
They already were opposing forces. She was a Sorengale and he's a Rurison.
Oh, well, I mean,
yeah, it's even more, but
it's foreshadowing.
This entire book is a foreshadow.
It is a foreshadow, yeah, no doubt.
So Violet tells him of the analogy that her and Imogen made in part 1 about battle axes and the armoire. And his shadows bring out a knife of his armoire and like puts it to her throat. And he says, you didn't know about my battle axe and my armoire because you trust me and I won't ever let these battle axes hurt you. Which
I'm tired of the analogy.
Me too.
I'm tired of it. Tired of the battle axes and the armoire. Think of something else. Maybe not have so many battle axes. I don't know.
He goes on to say, you're the smartest person I know, so you would find the right questions if you wanted the answers, but maybe it's that you don't want the answers, which I do agree.
I agree with, but like say that. Like say that to her. Don't just be like, well, you're not asking the right questions. Like you need to say you're avoiding the answers that you'll find.
I think also he can't answer because he knows her questions, right? Like we know he knows her questions, but he can't answer them without giving away his secret.
Again, this goes back to my whole point that we talked about previously, is that at this point, she is so deeply involved with everything that's going on. Okay. And with what's to come, like the end of the book, with what's to come, I just don't understand why he's continuously still being like, I can't tell you everything. Like what's left? Because honestly, at this point, and we'll talk about it more like when we get to the theories and stuff section, but at this point, I was thinking that that's what he was talking about, that he was already what happened.
Oh, I thought so too.
Yeah, like I was like, there's a deeper, darker secret here. And so I'm like, if that's what's to come later, then why are we still being like so crazy and weird about it?
Yeah.
Strange.
The minute that a second signet was brought up, I knew that he was intrinsic.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, because why
would he hide it?
Why would he hide it? And it's such a big deal because he's obviously not crazy unless you consider it crazy in love with Violet.
Where's Beyonce? She's enraged and tests his theory by demanding what his second signet is. Like I said, we know that Scale was bonded to Xaden's grandfather, but she's trying to figure out why they were allowed to. You either get a second signet or you go mad. So when she brings this up, his face like goes white. Like he is scared, which is not a emotion he has, and like silent. But Brennan interrupts them by saying a horde of Warven are coming and they need to raise the wards ASAP. From the Journal of Warwick of Lucaris, it was never our continent. From the very beginning, it was theirs, and we were simply allowed to live here. So Violet learns that to raise the wards, you have to use the dragons. It's not the blood of the riders, it's the blood or the fire of the dragons. So they get all 6 types of dragons and get the wards up. Then they head out to the border of the wards just in case it doesn't work so that they can face the Warben. Because Scale and Tarn are the fastest, they go to get there first, and they're the only ones positioned there, so Violet and Xaden have some time to talk before they potentially have to fight hundreds of Warven. Violet says, if you didn't want me to ask about the second signet, you wouldn't have told me that your grandfather bonded to Scale previously. He says, how long do you think it takes for someone to fall out of love? A day? A month? I'm asking because I don't have any experience with it. I'm asking because I think it will take you a heartbeat once you know.
This part is the part of the book that destroyed numerous readers. This section here, because it's just...
For me, it was his vulnerability and the fact that he thought she would give up so quickly.
Yeah, like, I don't know. If you think about Xaden and you think about the person that he is and his history is a marked one. His history, literally taking responsibility of all of those marked ones, the children, and like his responsibility in the revolution, his powers, his love for Violet, right? And now he's basically laying his literal life on the line, because that's what this is, to her, and is basically saying like, okay, how long will it take you to fall out of love with me? Like, I don't know, but I have a good guess that it won't take you very long. And it's very sad and it's very devastating because he knows what could happen.
Yeah.
Should she tell anybody? And like, their love is strong. Their love is like, you know, there's no doubt about their love, but it's still the fact that he has the second signet that is like, and has been using it is everything.
So he won't tell her, but she keeps guessing, and she finally gets to, he's a mind reader. What he needs most in the world is information, and he gets it.
I thought that part was so cool, like how she figured it
Yeah.
out, right? Because it stated that a rider's signet is based on what could be most useful to them in the dragon, right? Like almost like the personality, but like what they need most. Okay.
It's almost like a Hogwarts house. Like, what do you value the most?
Yeah, for sure. And it makes perfect sense that Xaden would be an intrinsic. And I just kept thinking back to that scene in the first book where literally that one cadet, what was it? He like could hear everyone's thoughts or something like that. He was like screaming like, who's talking and stuff like that. And they killed him immediately.
And Xaden was like, start talking, like start reciting things immediately. Like he knew exactly what to do. So if you manifest an intrinsic signet, you are killed. He says he can read intentions, like a subconscious motivation of your thoughts rather than actual words. It's more of images, he says.
Yeah, so he's not like actually actively reading people's minds, but he can read what their intentions are. Almost like the thought before the action.
Right. Tarn didn't know, and Scale backs away from him, baring her throat as a sign of vulnerability, similar to what Xaden just did by telling her. Her thoughts are spiraling, and he says, less than a minute, that's how long it took to fall out of love with me.
Oh. It's so hard. It's so hard because she was so fucking pissed at Dane for doing this exact thing.
Yeah.
Right. And Xaden was right there at her back. Like, yeah, he's such a shady dog for doing that. And here he is.
I mean, what could he have done?
There's nothing he really could have done, but it's like,
yeah.
and I mean, we find out in a minute, but he wasn't doing the same thing. Essentially, it was different, but still. For Violet to not know, but how could she know? How could he tell her? How could Scale not tell Tarn? That was a big deal. You would think that at least they would tell each other.
Right. I think that was the like biggest betrayal of them all, is that Scale didn't tell Tarn.
Yeah. And Violet was basically telling Tarn like,
I'm sorry.
I understand and I'm sorry. Yeah.
She thinks to herself, my heart struggles to beat regularly, torn between slowing and sluggishly admitting defeat and rising to fight in defense of the simple yet agonizing truth that I love him anyway. She tells him, my love isn't fickle, so we better live so I can ask you all the fucking questions. They mount their dragons, and Violet privately tells Tarn, I'm sorry she didn't tell you. And he responds with, we will settle matters of emotion after matters of life.
I like that.
I do too. I thought that was very mature.
Yeah.
The Werven that fly across the wards die instantly, and they stay there a few hours to make sure that they stay up. When they return, there is a missive from General Melgren asking Violet and Mira to meet him. On top of that, Griffin Flyers can still wield, meaning the shields, the wards weren't raised properly. So lots just happened. Whew.
And there's a lot to come. Yeah. We're not even like, this isn't even the craziest part of this entire.
Okay, we are more than halfway though. That's good.
Thank God.
The day Augustine Melgren manifested his signet changed warfare for the kingdom of Navarre forever. From Navarre, an unedited history by Colonel Lewis Markham. Boo. They head to meet Milgren and team. Violet didn't come to bed last night because she was trying to figure out what happened with the wards. So Xaden asks her to let him in so that they can talk briefly. He says he never used his power with her, especially once she became something more than just the general's daughter. But their connection makes it a lot easier for him to see her intentions than others. And my thought also with that is like, I mean, now she can shield very good, but how can you not read someone's mind? I feel like that's an like you just look at them and you know.
Yeah. I mean, and at the point when Xaden first met Violet, of course he had no idea what she was to become, right? So of course it makes sense for his own gains and like safety to be using it on everybody,
right,
including Violet. I get it.
Yeah. And he said that's how he knew Dane wasn't the asshole he was, because he could read his intentions after he saved Violet during her torture session.
Right. I mean, it's incredibly useful. You got to give him that.
Well, yeah. But he's freaking out that she's going to like report him or something, which give her more credit than that.
Literally. Why would she do that?
She's out here, or he's out here like she's never gonna love me again. Like, are you kidding me?
He's also being deeply insecure in this moment, and I'm like, again, y'all need to get a grab.
I get why he feels that way.
I get it, but it's also like Violet would never. I'm saying he feels insecure in him and Violet's relationship, and I'm like, you don't need to do that. They both need to get a grab.
Like, both of them have said to each other, you can do anything and I will still love you.
Right. Basically, she literally referred to him as her center of gravity. Make it make sense.
The way that Rebecca writes these characters is so, like, their chemistry is so deep and connected that, like, I don't know. It's
almost funny that these scenes exist. Like, it's like,
right. It's like childish, it feels.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God. The drama.
Milgren sees that there's a battle at Samara and that they will lose, but the rebellion does not agree to fight with them. Brennan comes out of the shadows and is like, we won't help you because you don't help others. And General Sorrengail is like, huh? They dismiss, but the Sorrengails stay for a little powwow that ends with Lilith, the mom, giving Violet Lyra's journal, who is one of the original 6, telling them that the Werven can come back to life. On their way back, Mira and Violet go find the Wervens, and they have runes in their carcasses that can bring them back to life.
Yeah, so basically the word does not work.
Nope.
Not at all.
So there were hundreds of dead Werven. If they something can activate that rune and they can all come back to life. Very cool, very fun. The combined hatchling grounds at Basgaith is our generation's greatest asset and our greatest liability. Violet and Xaden don't see each other for a week after that, so when they finally do get a chance, Xaden leaves a note telling Violet to meet him in the sparring gym because they'll already be fighting, which I thought was funny. They start making rules like no fighting in the bedroom, and Violet says no more hiding things, no more just ask me bullshit. Like, thank God you're creating a boundary.
Yeah, this is important. Like, I really like the rule, like, no fighting in the bedroom.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's good. Healthy relationship.
This is the healthiest relationship ever. He says he agrees as long as you always come back here so we can talk or fight it out, which I thought was very sweet.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
He's essentially like, no matter what happens, like, just come talk to me.
Which, that's literally the whole thing.
Yeah.
So much of this book could have been reduced down if they've had one simple conversation. How many stories are like that? How many, like...
Literally every romance.
Literally every romance. Literally every thriller
That's
come down just to
every
like one
book could be
conversation.
honestly.
Just have one conversation and this would be solved. And you could spare us, Yarros, 500 pages worth of insecurity and bickering.
To be fair, they're in their 20s.
Yeah, but like I can only give them so much credit. Okay,
That's
like
true,
I really
you're right.
can. I can only give them.
He asks if they're okay, and she says yes. Just promise not to use it on me again, which is fair. During battle brief, while they're discussing the upcoming battle in Samara, Violet realizes that they're actually going to Bathgates so that they can get, as mentioned in the quote, the hatchling grounds. Tarn's personal addendum to the Book of Brennan, as quoted by Cadet Violet Sorrengail, "We do not eat our allies." I thought that was so cute.
It was cute. Sweet Andarna.
When they arrive at Bathgate, Tarn tells Andarna to fly to the Vale so that she will be protected, but she says that she will stay where she is needed. They find the general telling her that the wards are in jeopardy and the real battle will be here, but she doesn't believe it at first. Violet says, "Who do you want to be, the general who saves Bathgate or the one who loses it to the very cadets who rejected your lies?" Her mom responds with, "Black really does suit you, Violet." And she thinks it might be the nicest thing she's ever said to me.
That's sad. Commenting on your outfit, nicest thing mom has ever said to you.
I don't know. It's more than that, though.
It is, I guess, because she's like recognizing Violet's success
As a writer.
Yeah. Okay, I'll give her that.
I thought it was
sad.
very sweet.
Trauma, but sad. But good.
She takes them to the Wardstone and finds the two guards dead. Jack Barlow and his dragon Bade are there. Jack kills Bade and the wards fall. Yikes.
Here we go. Everybody, buckle the fuck up. Okay?
Honestly, yeah.
Buckle the fuck up, because if things weren't already crazy and truths that were crazy have not already been revealed, you're not ready for what the next 200 pages
I don't think anyone
offer.
was ready for this.
No, not at all.
I think this was a real, honest blindside to everyone.
I will say I thought it was going to be worse. It's still pretty fucking bad, but I thought it was going to be worse.
This is about where I thought it was going to go.
I thought someone was going to die, like either Violet or Xaden.
In book 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still bad, but not as bad.
At its core, magic demands balance. Whatever you take will be recouped, and it is not the wielder who determines the price. From Magic, a Universal Study for Writers by Colonel Emazine Ruthorn. So, surprise, Jack is Venom, and Nolan has been trying to mend him since the landslide. They realize that Jack has been Venom since before her and Jack sparred together, because he was sucking the power out of her. Jack says, "I will never understand why it's you two," he wants, talking about Xaden and Violet. Dane reads Jack's memories and finds that they don't have enough riders to protect Bathgate. Like, there's just too many Venom coming. He sees where some of the lure runes are, and he has the infantry trying to hunt them down, as many as possible. As they go to bed to get as much sleep as they can before the impending battle, Violet says, "I will not die today. I can't say the same about tomorrow." Yikes.
Big yikes.
The rest of the squad shows up, including first years, Flyers, and Brennan. He agrees to try to mend the Wardstone, and they might actually have a shot at winning this battle if they can get the Wardstone up and running. General Sorrengail makes it rain to help imbue Violet, but they make the Griffins unable to fly so that they will fight on the ground and help ferry the wounded. They are each given a section to protect, and it is important that they stay within those sections to provide enough coverage. And the battle begins. The easiest way to defeat a dragon is to kill its rider. Though the creature will most likely survive the blow, it will be stunned long enough to be felled. Chapter 3, The Tactical Guide to Defeating Dragons, Colonel Elijah Joven. So Rihanna jumps in to defend Violet, and she's immediately taken back to Liam's death. She can't lose Rhiannon too. Once she takes the wielder down, Sawyer is in danger as a wyvern wraps his teeth around one of his legs and takes everything below the knee. I forgot about that.
That is sad.
Rydok plunges his sword into the wyvern as Violet leaps from Tarn to Sawyer's dragon. She yells at his dragon to help, to let her help Sawyer, and grabs onto one of his horns. Why did you say WTF?
I don't know, just like the image of it. Like I was like, what? Okay, but keep going.
And grabs Sawyer and tumbles into the air, trusting that Tarn catches the both of them. Sawyer is sent straight to the healers because there's nothing left to mend. And Kat gives Violet a dagger, which is a huge peace offering. As a dark wielder lands among them, the dark wielder says she has orders to capture Violet, and another one lands, dismissing the first entirely. And Xaden tells her he's on his way when a dark shape moves in the background. A shape with golden eyes and black scales.
Ooh. Okay, so Violet has immense balls for just like jumping on dragon to dragon. Like a dragon that's not her dragon.
Well, she like, to be fair, she's like, hey, dragon, please don't kill me, and then jumps.
Yeah, like she's like, let me save your rider. And then it's just like assuming that the dragon's going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
She's very like presumptuous when it comes to the dragons.
But she's also just like a badass rider.
Yeah, so, and they know probably that like if anything happened,
Tarn will F him up. So in the journal of Lyra, who is the one of 6 original, she says, I am alone in thinking the knowledge of wards, the protections they provide should not solely benefit Navre, and it has cost me everything. Huh?
Yeah, this was like big question mark. Like, what do you mean, girly? What do you mean, girly pop?
I'm scared. So, the thing in the background with golden eyes and black scales is Andarna. And she ends the dark wielder in front of Violet and with a breath of fire. Huzzah. She can breathe fire. Kat tells Violet to tell her mother that they can fight in the air if her mother will cease the storm. Jacinia catches up to them in the chaos, telling Violet that she believes Lyra's journal contains a lie. Lyra's journal contains a 7, whilst Warwick's contains a 6th rune. Who is right? We don't know. The breath of life of the 7 combined and set the stone ablaze in an iron flame, and Violet insists she must be mistaken until they both double check again, and it is indeed 7. The realization hits her like a truck, and Xaden informs both generals that they will not be defending the Vale, since all of their warriors are at Bathgate, and Violet convinces them to allow her to try and raise the wards one more time. So a lot's happening. Like, they're in the middle of battle.
And let's see, what has already happened? Okay, so Sawyer loses a leg.
Just no leg.
Gone. Sawyer's leg is gone. Violet is jumping from dragon to dragon. She lands on the ground. And then suddenly a venom is there. And Andarna breathes fire. Huzzah. And kills the venom. And then Jacinia catches up to her, says Lyra is a liar. And it's actually 7 instead of a 6. And meanwhile, the generals are trying to get them to go and protect the Vale, while Violet is like, let me try to raise the words one last time here. And we're not going to the Vale. Fuck you.
I think it's very interesting that like Jacinia is just like, hey, wait 1 sec. Got a quick little scribe thing for you.
Yeah, like how did she find Violet, first of all?
I don't know. Well, because they had all set down Sawyer.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
But
Sweet Girl was like in a room somewhere.
Yeah, I know.
Where like
I think it's kind of weird that she came along in the first place, but
I agree. But Homegirl is sitting in a room somewhere where like outside battle rages on, and then she's like, oh, this is a different number. And then suddenly it's crazy.
It is. So this is a recovered correspondence of Cadet Leah Mari to Sloane.
Oh my God.
You're going to love Violet. She's smart and stubborn. Reminds me a lot of you, actually. You just have to remember when you meet her, she's not her mother.
Gonna cry. Crying. Real tears.
I hope Liam continues to make an
appearance.
Comeback. Yeah.
I agree. We'll talk about that in theories.
Violet questions why on earth they would be waiting for Xaden, and he answers with, do us both a favor and don't ask. Huh?
What the fuck, Xaden? Okay. Oh, this is one of the secrets that he was talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Why would you say that now? Why would you say that in the midst of battle? And why would you say it like that? Do us both a favor and don't ask.
We said no secrets.
For real. Be for real.
So, the sage that they brought and that they fought in Ressen is landing on the ground near them when Violet asks Xaden whether he would prefer the wards raised here or in Aritia, and he says that she should ward wherever she is. Mm-hmm. In a badass move, she turns to Kodog and says she'd like a word, to which Xaden is like, holy fuck.
Okay, this is a really big fucking deal because
this is the third time she's talked to a dragon that is not hers.
Yeah, and Kodog is literally the number one dragon.
Tarn is 2.
Yeah, Tarn is number 2. Kodog is literally number 1, and he's the leader of the Black Dragon clan also. And he's also General
Melgren's
dragon.
Yeah.
So this is Big Daddy Dragon, okay? And the fact that she's just marching up to him and is like, I want a word. What the hell?
Well, and even Scale hardly can tolerate talking to Violet.
Right.
So and that they're mated dragons.
Yeah.
So for her to again, she just asked Sawyer's dragon if she could talk. She could hop on real quick.
Yeah.
Which yikes. And now she's like, Papa Dragon, can I talk to you real quick?
Give me your word. That's crazy. Kodog would be within his right to literally smite her.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It would cause a lot of problems. But
it would cause a lot of problems.
No one would say he was wrong.
Anything about it. Yeah.
She accuses him of always knowing and not telling the general because Dragonkind protects Dragonkind, and asks if he will come to the Wardstone, to which he agrees. Tarn says, you court to death? Because he's like, even I know you can't do this.
Yeah,
I'm the ballsiest dragon out here, but... As Violet prepares to leave, Xaden asks her to trust him to handle this like he trusted her in Ressen, even though they don't want to be separated. That is a good instinct. You shouldn't be separated. Xaden should just run away, in my opinion.
I agree. Now's when we pack up to go home,
Or just go take a nap. You don't need to fight Xaden.
Yeah, maybe go to that island.
Yeah, call up Takaris again.
Just saying.
There is a distinct note of goodbye in his tone as he gives her one final I love you, and she orders him to stay alive. Oh, that one got me. On her way to the stone, she orders Melgren to let the flyers join the battle and tells her mom to lower the storm so they can see. Running with all her might, she races to find Brennan and to see that he has indeed mended the Wardstone. She orders Andarna down to the stone and realizes the amount of power it will require to imbue the wards, and confronts Andarna on her secret. So she has her hand on the Wardstone and is putting all of her power into the Wardstone to make sure that they will be protected while she's doing this. So she essentially is resigning herself to death in this moment. While she's doing this, she's confronting Andarna about, hey, you know how you kind of change colors sometimes? What's that about?
Let's talk about it. And it's It's really interesting because we've seen little hints to this all along, right? The fact that Andarna chose Violet when she was a Feathertail, when she was just a baby, when no dragon had ever done that before, when Andarna was the second dragon to choose Violet, when Andarna started showing multiple colors. There were little Easter eggs throughout. It's very interesting.
I don't think I saw this one coming.
No, not at all. I
knew she was different because of the color part.
Yeah. I knew that she was going to have some spectacular quality that would come into play. I did not think it was going to be this.
Yeah.
Did not see this one coming.
Andarna tells Violet that she wouldn't have been worthy of knowing unless she had figured it out, which respect.
I like that. No, it's facts because she chose Violet for this purpose.
Yeah.
If you're not smart enough to figure out what I am, then you're not worthy of having me as a dragon or knowing my secret.
She waited 650 years to hatch until Violet was 18 and she heard them talk of a writer with a scribe's mind. And she thought, that's the same, like, we are one and the same. Which I got chills. I love that. So Violet thinks, I give her exactly what I wanted, to be seen for who and what she is, by realizing that Andarna is a 7th breed and, tells her about it. Violet's mom shows up and immediately assesses the situation at hand as Violet is pushing her limits, and she asks Tarn and Andarna to promise to go on after she's gone. Which, all right, martyr, calm down. She says, I chose you not as my next, but as my last, Tarn screams at Violet. So he's like,
you will not die.
Because if you die, I die. And we're not doing that.
We're not doing that today. This is not your day to die.
General Sorrengail realizes that Sloane is a siphon and antagonizes her. That is what she does. Almost bullies her, honestly.
Basically is you know what I did to you and your family and the rest of you.
She's like, I'm the reason why Liam's dead, pretty much. So,
come and use me.
To use her signet on herself for the stone. So she's siphoning Sorrengail's power and putting it into the Wardstone. Violet begs Sloane against it as she feels hopelessness through the bond as Xaden himself approaches death, which is a whole other thing. Why are they both what's going to happen for the next 3 books? They're all just going to almost die every time?
I guess, because that's the thing. We'll come to see what Xaden's up to in this moment, but he's on the brink of death, facing hopelessness. I'm assuming, obviously thinking the same thing Violet's thinking, that's okay, I'm going to go down to save Violet. Well, Violet is literally bleeding her life into the stone in an effort to save Xaden and everybody. So it's
Xaden's doing the same thing.
And Xaden's doing the same thing.
To protect Violet.
And it's at what point are y'all going to stop being okay, well, I need to literally give my life up and just not do that.
Right. Well, and at this point, probably all of their dragons are we're dead, aren't we?
We're dead.
If these 2 people die, all 3 of us will die.
It's a chain reaction.
To Violet, her mom says, there's nothing I wouldn't do to keep you safe. Do you understand? Everything was to get you to this moment. And she falls as the wards are raised.
So, yeah.
Most generals dream of dying in service to their kingdom, but you know me better than that, my love. When I fall, it will be for one reason only, to protect our children.
Oh.
Recovered unsent correspondence of General Lilith Sorrengail.
So let's unpack that.
I have straight up chills.
Okay, so she's writing to
Papa Sorrengail.
When I fall, it would be for one reason only, not for the kingdom, but to protect our children. So what has she been doing this entire time in the background, not for the kingdom, but for her kids? And the fact that it says unsent correspondence, he never received that letter. Where was he and what was he doing?
That's a great question.
We'll get there.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. That's a lot to unpack.
I want to read that letter. What does that letter say? Why?
What was she talking about?
Why was she writing that letter?
And she dies. She's gone. And this is okay. This is what's frustrating about this moment is that it happened so quickly.
It did happen so fast.
It happened so quickly. It was like, boom. Violet realizes that there's a 7th dragon breed that happens to be Andarna and that Kodak knows and is keeping it secret. Goes to confront Andarna. Boom, her mother's dead. Like, it's too quick. It's too quick in succession. Like,
it was so much. And the begging, Violet begging Sloane, that was way too much for me.
Yeah, like, it was like, because I mean, what kind of position are you putting Sloane in at that point? And I understand that, of course, that's how it was going to happen because Sloane is a siphon. Like, I understand that was going to be the chain of events. But, like, it almost diminished the fact that Violet's mom died because of how quick it happened.
It did. I felt like that was the least important thing that happened here.
Exactly. And I was like, but whoa, no, it's not. Because, I mean, yes, there are arguably more important events that happen, but it's like
this was
General
very important.
Sorengale dies. Not for the kingdom.
Yeah, for the marked ones, essentially.
For the marked ones, for Violet, for her children. And it's like, and then there's also this unsent piece of correspondence. Like, it's a big fucking deal. And the fact that it just happens almost nonchalantly is like,
and
I don't like it.
And we know nothing about Papa Sorengale.
No.
So, and the last person who does dies.
Exactly. And I'm assuming that we will find out later because we have to, because if not,
he's obviously something.
He's obviously a big part of something, but it's just, I feel like this part could have been done better.
I did not like how quickly this ending happened.
No, I agree.
I think we could have taken out like 30 of the fights they had and put in more
leading up to this moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I honestly, like, yeah, I know she died, but like I forgot the circumstances of it, really.
Yeah. Because you're so caught
much
up with what's happening.
So, as the wardstone is raised, the sound of Werven bodies dropping fills the air. Andarna says, "Please forgive me." As Mira sobs, Brennan places his jacket over their mother's body. Violet reaches out to Tarn to confirm that Xaden is still living. People are cheering. Dane comes to see if Violet's all right, and Violet tersely tells Tarn that he needs to catch up with Andarna immediately. Some nice dragon talk, if you will. Seeing Xaden, she asks what happened and informs him of what her mother did. As Violet is approaching Xaden, Scale, who hardly talks to Violet, says, "Be careful with your words." And she's like, what the fuck's that supposed to mean?
I don't know what Scale was trying to accomplish there
because Scale's furious at Xaden. And so she thinks, in my opinion, she thinks Violet will be mad and wants to make sure that his fragile boy ego will be fine. So Xaden and Violet are talking. What Xaden is saying is incredibly unsettling. He says, "You won't be scared here under the full wards."
Yeah, okay. So basically, Violet is walking up to Xaden in the field. He's like got his head down. He's not making eye contact with Violet. And he is like not really like muttering these things, but he's basically like talking to himself.
He's like talking to the river. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's saying, "You won't be scared here under the full wards." Like, he's basically reassuring himself, like, Violet will be okay, not afraid under the full wards. Right. And then he says to her, You love me, he whispers.
Yeah, he's like reminding himself.
Yeah,
of
like
this.
talking to Violet, but really reminding himself.
Yeah. Violet asks what she should be so scared of and reaches for Xaden. And as he slowly lifts his head to meet her gaze, the single word no is all she can think. He says, me. His eyes are shining red. You should be scared of me. Surprise! He turned venom.
That motherfucker. I am upset.
Yeah, let's get to his point.
You like,
of view.
keep going, yeah.
We have tried every method we know of, as you requested. There is no cure. There is only control. This is a missive from Lieutenant Colonel Nolan to General Sorrengo. So, last chapter, per the last book, is Xaden's point of view. I was upset with how short this was.
I agree.
This is where I felt that she skipped out.
Yeah, like you're gonna do this to us, this ending to us, and then you're gonna give us like 3 paragraphs of an ending from his point of view. No. It's not okay. And I wanted to hear Scale's point of view. I wanted to hear Xaden's point of view. Like I wanted more meat and bones of the last battle that they had with the Venom. Like I feel cheated.
I did feel very cheated at the end. Like I think I was done at this point. I was just like, I'm over this. Like I don't even
care. I'm over this book. Yeah. Like I'm like, because it was rushed.
It was rushed. And now we have to wait another year for any answers. So I'm just like, okay, whatever.
It's incredibly frustrating.
So Xaden's point of view in the midst of the battle, and this is all we get. We only get his point of view during this battle.
Yeah.
That's
sick.
That is it. Like we have 600 pages of things that happen and we only get his point of view from this last little battle.
Sick. It's sickening.
So Xaden can feel Scale's terror as the General Venom toys with him. He's well past the point of burnout and he can feel that the General is just like playing. Like he's not sweating. Like this is easy for him. The scene before him is just like his nightmares. Huh.
Interesting. Maybe if y'all had talked about those shared nightmares that y'all could have prevented some of this, but no.
He can feel her giving her life energy to the Wardstone to save him, and the General threatens Violet's life as Scale shrieks that he cannot give in when his decision is made and he feels the unmistakable flow of power. Scale screams, I chose you, but Violet chose me too, he thinks. He wakes from his nightmare, Violet in bed next to him, and leaves to seek out Jack Barlow waiting below them in the cells that Violet was tortured in. What's the cure? Xaden asks, to which there is no known cure. Jack says, you've been convincing everyone you're the hero, and now you're the villain, especially in her story. And that's how it ends.
That's literally how the fucking book ends. It's sick. It's sickening. It makes me ill. Like, it's like, how dare you end up that way?
This is a novel. It should have resolution.
I get it because it's like the second book in the series. Like, I get it. But like,
I don't get it.
I am upset. Deeply upset at all of this. Like, was it as bad as I thought it was going to be originally? No. But go ahead. What?
Well, I was just going to say, I'm fine with him turning Venom. I'm not fine with him turning Venom at the end of the book.
Right. Like, it's like, we need more. You should have given us more of Xaden's POV.
I am very upset about that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's what I'm mainly upset about.
Yeah. Because we knew something awful was going to happen, right? Like, we knew...
Because the first one, that's how it ended. We knew it was going to do it again.
Yeah, like we knew where this was going. But to just leave us like this, it's very like I get it. Like we're going to buy your fucking third book, but it's like
the last 100 pages were just
too much.
Way too much.
It was too jam-packed. It was too, and like I said, like other than Xaden turning Venom, it really does minimize the other events that happen. Like Sawyer literally losing a leg.
I forgot that happened.
Like General Sorrengail literally dying. Like the words being raised.
And Darna being a seventh
dragon. Like it's just too much.
It was way too much. And she had the real estate. She had 600 pages of books. She could have taken some of the other pieces out to make that battle longer.
Right. Because if you think about it, in the last book, right, in Fourth Wing, the craziest things to happen are that Violet finds out that there's a revolution, like a secret revolution, and then Liam's death. Yeah. Those are really the only craziest events. Yeah. The number of crazy events that are on par with those events in this book is exponentially more.
I will say, to be fair to Yarros, the first book has to be world building or you aren't invested.
Right. And I get that.
But yeah, way too much happened in this.
It's just too much. They're not spread out enough. It was rushed. And I'm not trying to throw so much shade at her. I just wish she had taken the time with it. That's really it. Like, I just wish she had taken the time. And it's deeply upsetting that Xaden's a villain now. And what does he mean that they were waiting for him? Like, what was all that about?
So I took some of the like chapter, you know how each chapter has a quote. I took some of the Venom facts just for the end.
Okay, cool.
Because they kind of like I felt like her chapter titles or quotes were kind of weirdly placed. So I tried to like put it in an order that makes sense. And the Venom ones just didn't make sense until we talked about Xaden, really. Yeah. So here's some of those. It was only in the last 50 years that we realized there were no longer solely coming from the Barrens. They'd begun to take recruits, teaching those who never bonded a griffin to channel what was not theirs to take, to upset the balance of magic by stealing it from the very source. The problem with mankind is we too often find our souls to be a fair price of power. This is from A Guide to Vanquishing the Venom. Another one is, it is somewhat fitting that the only weapon capable of killing a dark wielder is the same thing that drove them to soullessness, power. Also from The Guide to Vanquishing the Venom. Defeating a dark wielder begins with knowing where they rank in age and experience. Initiates have reddish rings to their eyes that come and go depending on how often they drain. ASIM's eyes fluctuate in degrees of red and their veins distend when riled. Sages, those responsible for initiates, eyes are permanently red, their veins perpetually distended towards their temples, expanding with age. Mavens, their generals, have never been captured for examination.
Interesting.
Could that perhaps be Papa Sorrengail? Though there is some debate, it is greatly believed that turning Venom heightens one of the Dark Wielder's senses. It is this scholar's belief that the one responsible for the death of King Gruthwild developed keener eyesight, for not even the best of His Majesty's royal flyers could see through the darkness the Venom hid within to slay our beloved king. Just some little Venom facts, what we have to look forward to with Zadie Poo.
It's a lot. We need so much more information than what we've been given. I know that there's a reason for that, but it's like you needed probably to give us a little something more.
If this next book is not 600 pages again, not buying it. Just kidding. Of course I am.
Of course. We're too deeply invested. Even if it's garbage, hot garbage, I'm going to read it.
It won't be, but
it better not be.
Yeah. All right. So,
yay!
On to our theories. Which one do you want to start with?
Okay. So again, most of these, if not all of them, are not our own theories. So do not think that these are our brainchilds. Most of these we got on social media. So if you're curious or want to see more, I highly suggest TikTok.
Yeah, I get all mine on Instagram Reels.
So the first one that we have, as we know, Xaden bonded the same dragon that his grandfather rode, and therefore he gets a second signet, right? Mm-hmm. Violet has 2 dragons, one of which signet gives her the lightning power, which is Tarn's wielding. Could she possibly get a second signet?
So Rebecca did confirm.
Okay, correct.
And it has made an appearance in the book.
The third book.
Nope, this book.
This book.
It has made an appearance.
It's made an appearance.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm scared. What do you think it is?
There's a couple. I do really like the idea of her being able to talk to the dead.
Yeah, that was a big one that I've seen.
Yeah. I think hallucinating Liam makes sense. And that way also perhaps she can talk to her mom.
Yeah. And find out more information.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's not that, I also think there were a couple points in the book when I was rereading for the notes that she said, I knew he wasn't lying, or I knew, like, I could tell that my mom wasn't lying or something. And I was like, I wonder if she's almost like a truth sayer.
Yeah.
Where she is able to like determine if someone is lying or not to her.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really interesting. I like the channel of like her being able to do something with the dead. Like I like that.
Yeah.
Because Andarna's power originally, although she doesn't have it anymore because she's not a baby anymore, was like stopping time. So I think it would be cool if there was like a connection there. Do I know how she's going to play that out? No, I don't. But it'd be interesting to see.
Yeah. She could be the one that like transports that they haven't seen in centuries or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that has you saving time. But the issue with that, I mean, it hasn't
I don't think
manifested.
that's really Violet, though.
Yeah. Because for her, like, while Xaden needs information, Violet needs truth. Like, that's her, like, biggest thing.
Roll my fucking eyes. Yeah.
So, like, and she's a scribe by heart. So that's why I think it's truth
like she
sayer.
seeks knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah. That would make sense. That would make sense.
But she wasn't just hallucinating Liam. You know, like, he was there. Like, she wasn't conjuring him speaking to her.
Right, because before this, like, she's been in immense pain.
Yeah.
And it's not like she was hallucinating anybody then.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know.
Okay. Number 2. Who is Venom within the ranks? Because Jack said that there are multiple in there.
I didn't even think it was possible to be Venom. Like, until Jack came out as Venom.
Yeah.
And I was like...
Yeah, which, side note, and completely unrelated, and I am not ashamed to say this, I have seen some fan art of Jack Barlow, and I am a fan. I am a fan. He looks like a more evil and buff Draco Malfoy, which I am here for 110,000%. I will say, when I was reading the book, I pictured him as like Sid from Toy Story. So like, I mean, right?
No, yeah, that's not what I saw.
What did you picture?
A chubby man boy. That's whenever I don't like someone, all I see is a chubby man boy.
Dane.
Yes, that's how I pictured Dane until I started liking him.
Okay, well, I pictured Dane as literally Sid from Toy Story.
No, Jack.
Oh yeah. Wait, who did
You said Dane.
It's a Freudian slip. It's because I do believe that. No. I actually pictured Jack as Sid from Toy Story, but like with red hair. I don't know why. Was he described with red hair? Because I don't think so.
He has a red dragon.
Oh yeah. Okay. Anyway, so the fan art. I need y'all to go look at it because it was amazing.
There's some really good like AI creations of it.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Venom. So who is Venom? It's not just Jack, and it's not just Satan, from what Jack was saying. And the whole bit about General Sorengale requesting information on Venom.
I think Papa Sorrengail is Venom.
Yeah, because it was specifically stated that it was from General Sorrengail to Cadet Nolan.
Yeah.
So this was before he was
Colonel, Lieutenant.
Yeah, Colonel, blah, 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 blah.
Lieutenant Colonel, whatever. Yeah.
So interesting.
Yes, very interesting. There's a story with Papa Sorrengail. We don't know his name. I think that's weird.
We don't know his name. It's interesting that he was their entire childhood spinning these stories of Venom and Werven.
Yep.
Was he preparing them for something? Obviously, yes. But more close to home? Question mark.
I don't know. I'm scared.
And the fact that General Sorrengail knew for that long.
Yeah.
For that long, possibly even before Violet was born. Crazy.
And I also think it's interesting Papa Sorrengail's research on baby dragons.
Yes,
on Feathertail specifically.
Because he knew something.
Yeah, so I wonder if Feathertails are a cure or something.
Or they have something to do with that. I like the theory that Violet could possibly be half Venom.
Yes, I think that's true.
I think that is very interesting because of her hair. The fact that her father's disappearance is in such ambiguity, and like the research, like we already talked about, that her mother was doing and that her father was telling her. So interesting little tidbits there.
I don't know. I think we're going to get a lot of surprises on who is actually Venom.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I wonder if Xaden will tell people.
Like who's who?
No, if he'll be like, I'm Venom.
Oh. I don't know how he can hide it. Well, I mean, I guess Jack was out here like...
Yeah, you can hide it if you're an initiate.
I think that would be very dangerous if he did tell people. Because, like, how would they know how in control he was or whatever?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But also, like, how could they kill him? Because he's, like, the leader of the revolution.
Right. Like, he's literally, like, not only royalty, but, like, y'all are here because of him.
Yeah.
And Violet, of course, but
His
mostly
throne.
him. Yeah. I'm interested to hear more about Serena and Kat's older brother. This is a lesser theory.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything about this. So when I saw this on your list, I was like, huh.
Yeah, I'm interested. It's just because it was such a passing mention, but the fact that they mentioned that specifically he would like Mira, I was like, interesting.
I'm interested to learn more about Tarn's old rider.
Yes. That's a big piece of information that I want. I want just more information on the dragons, specifically Scale and Tarn in general.
Yeah. I want to know about Andarna now, because like Andarna's about to be queen of dragons.
Yeah, she's the leader of her own clan. She's the only dragon breed.
She's been waiting for 650. She is older than
all of these dragons.
All of the dragons.
Yeah. I want to know what power she has now.
I'm shocked that Tarn and Scale don't know.
It's crazy because I guess they're old, right? Like they're old dragons, but they're young enough to not have been around when Andarna was originally around.
Right.
So it's like, that's why Violet went up to Kodak and was like, you know.
Yeah, because only the elders know.
Yeah, and you're not. I mean, I get it why they weren't telling anybody, even the dragons, but it's like, it's crazy to think that they don't know.
Right. And why did they go extinct? Why are there only why is the seventh breed gone? What makes them special other than they're changing colors?
Right. And it definitely has something to do with the ward stone.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, because she said that was why she was saved. That's why she wasn't hatched, was so that she could raise the wards again.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, what is with all of that? Who saved her?
How?
How
do you hatch?
Like, how did the who was it? Was it Lyra or was it the other one that knew? It was Warwick.
They all knew.
Well, they all knew, but who wrote specifically the 7? Was that Warwick?
No, it was
Lyra.
Lyra,
yeah. Okay.
Okay, so what do we think's gonna happen next?
Oh, brother, I don't know. My brain hurts.
I know. I can't even imagine.
I'll tell you what I hope happens.
Let's go.
Okay. I hope that it does come to light that Violet's father was a villain and is somehow living out his days as a villain, either cured or is fighting for the good side.
So you think there is a villain good side?
I'm saying that if Violet's father is alive as a villain, I'm hoping that he's at least fighting for his children, aka the good side. If he is a villain in his past, I hope that it comes to light that he found a cure.
Okay. Yeah.
I hope it's one of those two things.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to think about. I think he's the leader.
You think he's like the general?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that would be interesting. It'd be a twist. Like maybe he's just so far gone that that's like what it is.
And that's why she was searching for a cure.
Yeah. I also hope that if it's one of the two cases that I said, or that the fact that he's a general, like you said, is that Violet is byproduct of a villain and a human.
Right.
And she therefore is the cure.
Oh, shit.
Somehow.
I did see one theory that was interesting that said, like, her lightning, like, her signet is just power, but it wields as lightning because that's what she's comfortable with.
Right.
So I think that's really interesting because she's the only one who has a signet that can kill venom.
Right.
So it would make sense.
Power. Like,
it would make sense that she was part venom.
Well, and just the fact that she has like the white hair. I don't know. It's very like venom-y.
Yeah.
I hope that Xaden obviously gets cured.
I'm really scared. I've seen a lot of things on like theories that she'll end up with Dane because she can't forgive Xaden for something that he does, just like the Hunger Games.
They need to just cut that out.
I'll throw up if that happens.
I will throw up, shit, piss, vomit all over the place.
I also saw one about her and Eric ending up together.
That's not happening.
Which isn't as bad, in my opinion, as
No,
Dane
it's
one.
not as bad.
But I will still riot in the streets, Rebecca.
Yeah, the thing is, that's not happening. There's not enough meat there.
Well, we got 3 more books.
I know, but there's 3 more books. But here's the dealio. Here's the dealio. I think one of those is going to be a novella that has nothing to do with either Xaden or Violet.
I don't think it'll be a novella. I think it'll be a prequel.
Perhaps. Ooh, that might be good. I like that. I like that idea. That'd be nice. Don't do a novella. We already have enough of those.
I think it should be like an Andarna being hatched novella, in my opinion.
Or like a story of the 6 or something. Yeah. That would be cool.
Something that...
Listen to us.
Yeah. I mean, she already has them like planned out, but...
I know, she does. She does. I'm like, listen to us. Don't do a Christmas novella. Because that's essentially what SJM did with the Avatar series.
Oh no!
I mean, it's not Christmas, but it's like winter time, and
it is so. Small,
it is adorable. It is very small, and it was good. It was good. Not great. It was good. I'm just saying, Fourth Wing doesn't need that.
No,
nor is it that type of vibe either.
That just is like you have a 5-book contract and you got tired.
And you better not do that, Rebecca. That's what we're saying. You need to take your darn time with this. You just need to take your time. Yeah. Think thoroughly through everything. Please.
I think that's the issue, though, is that like she doesn't get the opportunity really because she has deadlines.
Yeah. And that's the thing. As a reader, to all you publishers out there, although none of you listen to this fucking podcast, to all you publishers out there, as a reader, I would rather wait year upon year for an excellent, well thought out, well written book than a book that was rushed and given to me early.
I agree to an extent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about anything else?
Yeah. So I have, just as a lighter note to end, I have a couple funny Andarna quotes.
Yay.
So when Violet asks what the other adolescent dragons are doing, Andarna says, the other adolescents are not bonded and do not understand me, which I thought was really funny.
She's telling Violet right there, like, I'm different.
Yeah.
Like,
she's literally like, I'm not them. Andarna says, perhaps I will be the eldest of my own den. And Tarn says, I'm still in my middling years. You'll be waiting a while. And Andarna says, really? I figured you were decades into your elder year. You certainly act like it.
she's so funny.
So Andarna, Violet, and Tarn are talking about going to go get the luminary. And Andarna says, can you carry a luminary? And Tarn says, that question insults me. And Andarna says, can you carry a luminary while insulted?
I loved that one.
So funny.
So good.
Ugh.
It's over, folks. That's it for now. I mean, we'll have to wait, like MK said, an entire year till the next one.
There's rumors that it's December 1st, 2024. That's what Goodreads says, but that changes, so.
That's crazy. That's crazy. It's a Christmas novella. I will say I'm nervous because I feel like in my experience, third books are really precarious. They're either like great or they are just not good. And then it gets better after the third book.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm sure she's getting fatigue anyway.
I don't blame her.
But you have to do it for us.
We believe in you, Rebecca. Just do your thing. Take your time.
So what did you rate it?
I rated it 4 out of 5.
Yeah, I agree.
Fourth Wing was a 5 out of 5.
Yeah.
Iron Flame a 4 out of 5.
I would say, and comparing it to Fourth Wing, it's like a 3 or a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, honestly.
But then when you look at it compared to other books, I would still say it's
4
a
out
high
of 5.
4 or 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think more accurately, my rating would probably be like a 3.5, but we're giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's hard to rate a book until you know how it ends, how the series ends, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, so I have my Taylor Swift song, Don't You Forget It. So I did Willow, the dancing witch version, on Folklore. So it says, head on the pillow, I could feel you sneaking in, as if you were a mythical thing, and there was one prize I'd cheat to win. Tell me that is not Xaden becoming a villain. I don't know. Life was a willow and it bent right to your wind. They count me out time and time again. Wait for the signal and I'll meet you after dark. Show me the places where the others gave you scars.
Ooh, that is very Xaden.
And now this is an open shut case. I guess I should have known from the look on your face. Every bait and switch was a work of art.
Damn.
You're telling me this was made before Fourth Wing?
Crazy.
I don't believe you. The more that you say, the less I know. Wherever you stray, I follow. I'm begging you to take my hand, wreck my plans. That's my man.
Well. I mean, that's the book.
I was like, so funnily enough, this song is actually about like falling in love with a good guy, that it's so easy that you're like, oh, I didn't realize that we're like not supposed to have fights every night and like all of this stuff. But when I read these lyrics, I was like, there's no way this isn't about Xaden.
Yeah. I mean, like the scars and like, I don't know,
mythical
just
creatures.
The drama.
But also listen to the Dancing Witch version. It's Elvira remix. It's very
Correct. Fun. Plot twist, Rebecca Yarros and Taylor Swift had a collab. Years before these books came
I've never seen Taylor Swift and Rebecca Yarros in the same room.
Someone tell me why. Like,
okay.
She's on those forums. All right, everybody. It's been a long and wild ride. Some might say a dragon-filled ride.
Some might say too long.
Some might say Alex needs to go to bed, and that's facts. So thank you for listening.
Tune in next episode for The Family Game by Catherine Steadman.
Woo!
As always, you can email us at @goatpod@gmail.com with suggestions and or book recommendations. Check out our social media at @goatpod on Instagram and TikTok. You can find my bookstagram at peasreads, and you can find us on Goodreads. We appreciate you listening to this extended episode. Let us know your thoughts, your theories. We love hearing them. So thank you so much for listening.
This has been
All the Good Ones
Are Taken.